Hey guys, welcome back. What an amazing day in the markets today. But it wasn't just the indexes that got me so excited. You could probably guess it. We not only smashed through the 460, we broke through 470 today with Micron, and we're continuing to fly. This stock is officially in blue sky territory right now, and it has been amazing to see. It's been so amazing, I decided to devote this entire video to the performance that we saw today. We have seen Micron battle this 450 level for the last few trading sessions. Before that, we saw it battle the 460 level. Every time it tried to break through 460, approach 470, the bears pushed it back down. Well, that wasn't the case today. We saw the bulls get behind this stock, smash it through the 470 level, and keep it flying all day long today. It was amazing to see the level of support we had with Micron. And guys, honestly, I think we all knew it was there. The stock is being held back. It finally got to break through. I'm going to show you the level of support that it had throughout the day, the conviction that is behind this stock right now overall. So in this video, we're going to take a look at what exactly this stock did today. I'm going to explain to you what I think the three pillars were today that drove the performance for Micron, that accounted for all of the bullish activity we saw, that accounted for it to break through 470 and keep moving. We're going to take a look at the candle pattern, the technical performance of the stock today, look at some of the RSI patterns, and look in the dark pool. What happened in the after hour today? What can it tell us about tomorrow when that opening bell rings on Thursday morning? Will we continue to see support with Micron, or will we see a pullback? I've got some scenarios I'm going to lay out at the end of this video for what we may see to get us all prepared for when that opening bell strikes tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock or 9:30. I can't remember. I'm just too fired up from today. 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. But guys, if you haven't done it already, make sure you hit like. Make sure you hit subscribe to the channel. I appreciate your support. Let's dive in. Let's talk about the amazing day in the market today we saw with Micron. The first thing we have to do is just take a look at the performance. If guys, you take a look at what we saw today, clearly the stock closed at 487.49. A new 52-week high. Not only did we break through that 470 level, like I said, we smashed it and we continue to fly past it. 8.5% growth today, almost a $40 gain, $38.11 gain per share for Micron today. One of the strongest performances that I have seen for this stock in a while. But if you look over to the right for the daily range, I want you to look on the far right. This is the new 52-week high now. There was a moment in the early trading, no, it was actually towards the end, like in the afternoon, where it hit 491. We'll just call it 492 a share because there was only 2 cents off. Is that the new ceiling now? Is that our next level of resistance that we need to push through to get to that 500 level that we've been talking about on this channel that I know many of us have as a price target for this stock? I still believe firmly that we're going to get to 500, we're going to get to 550 as the price target for Micron overall. But today was a great step towards that overall. There's something else I want to draw your attention to is the scorecard here. Even with this great day on the market, 8.5% growth, almost a $40 gain, we still have room on both the fair value as well as the analyst sentiment. If you look at fair value, the fair value price for Micron is $527.42. We're still about over an 8% upside from where the stock trades today. You can see the technical analysis today was strong buy, no question. It grew all day today. Today was a story of accumulation and conviction. I'm going to show you that in the candle chart in a moment. But look at analyst sentiment. Strong buy. Price target is, we'll call it 534, about a 9.5% upside from where the stock trades today. Company's health is great. The only thing I'll draw your attention to is we see to be given a little back in the after hours. And I will say, this is a little bit of a shift. About 45 minutes ago, all of these stocks, the memory stocks, and I'll take a look at the other ones in a second, were all green in the after hours. So the question is, are we seeing a little bit of pullback with just memory, or is it a bigger shift or sentiment change with the market overall? Is fear and anxiety coming back in? Something I'm going to keep my eye on as we continue to go through the night and into the pre-market hours tomorrow morning as well. But right now, giving back about 0.75%, about $3.50, still above the 480 level. We'll talk about this in the scenarios at the end, what we could expect tomorrow. But if you look to the right, just to quickly cover the other memory stocks, SanDisk had a great day. Closed at just under $9.80 a share, $76 gain on the day, almost 8.5% growth. Again, they're giving a little bit back right now in the after hours, about $5 back, still over $9.70 a share. So this was fantastic news for all of us SanDisk holders out there, I feel like we're getting our legs under us with this stock after it's been included on the NASDAQ 100, where it looks like we're starting to find support again. After the stock got back on, we know we saw a lot of profit taking leading up to the NASDAQ 100 inclusion. But the question is, have we found support now? Can we start to push again towards that $1,000 mark that we got so close to, that I was sure we were going to pass last week? Will we start to grow towards it again, or will we see profit taking tomorrow morning when this opens up? But when I call, and then I just want to call out the storage players because they've been the stars of the show. That's why I did my whole video yesterday on the storage players. Western Digital, another good day, $5 gain today, hit a new 52-week high, closed at almost, just over $3.89 a share, giving a little bit back in the after hours, but still incredibly strong. And then Seagate down here towards the bottom, a $20 gain today, over 3.5%, pushing towards $5.80 a share now. After hours, 50 cents back, but this has been an incredibly strong performance for these two storage players over the last few weeks. They have been driving the sector. But I think today, Micron and SanDisk caught up a little bit. They had some really strong performance. And there's three pillars that I want to talk about that I think drove the support for Micron today overall. The first one is their strong advocacy and support for the Match Act. So clearly we saw an article came out today, and let me jump over and show you it. It was on Reuters, and it just mentioned how Micron is advocating for the U.S. to pass the Match Act overall. And you can see that the headline, Micron pushes U.S. Congress to crack down on chip tool sales to Chinese rivals. And if you scroll down into the article itself, you can see right here that Micron told lawmakers that Washington needs to do more to inhibit Chinese development in the memory market. They said increased U.S. action is necessary to prevent China from dominating the memory chip manufacturing the way it has with solar energy and other sectors overall, that this is clearly a national security issue overall. This was a big bull flag, I would say, for Micron. For them to come out, give this level of endorsement. We saw the Match Act pass through, actually get advanced through the House Foreign Affairs Committee earlier today. That was a bullish flag, was a huge sign. I think this was part of the reason we saw it smash through that 470 level and just keep flying. Didn't face any resistance, because this would create a massive geopolitical moat for Micron. If we see this move forward further and we get to see restrictions that advance the chip making equipment to China, or the supply of chip making equipment to China, it essentially freezes the competition's ability to catch up with Micron, and particularly catch up with the 1 beta and the 1 gamma DRAM nodes. This will secure U.S. pricing power for Micron for years. And that was part of the reason why we saw it just be such a bullish flag, or a bullish signal overall for the stock, which gave reason for its growth today overall. The second was just a sign that came out in ASML's guidance. So they released their guidance today, and it was a read-through gold mine for memory. They confirmed that high bandwidth memory demand is so high that it is physically constrained. Let me show you exactly what they said. I can pull it up here in an article by Motley Fool. And you can see just from the headline here, that ASML just delivered massive news for Micron technology investors. And if you look into key points, the first one, ASML management predicts that the shortage of memory chips will persist, suggesting high memory prices, they won't go away anytime soon. Micron has been the major beneficiary of these rising memory prices. And this suggests that Micron could continue enjoying this level of strong earnings growth for many years to come overall. This was another kind of just really positive sign and signal from Micron. So you combine that with their support for the Match Act, that moving out of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, and this level overall of what we're seeing with ASML confirming the demand. But that wasn't it. There was a third signal that came out today that came from Goldman Sachs and Zacks overall. So we see analysts now have moved into the full bull mode for this stock, all related to what they expect to see with earnings per share growth. So Goldman Sachs and Zacks, they both reiterated that we're not just looking at growth with Micron. We are looking at a projected 600 plus earnings per share explosion with this company in this year, in 2026. So this isn't a tech company or a tech stock anymore. This is now officially a cash flow machine. And let me show you those two articles just to show you what they mentioned overall. So let me pull that up You can see the first one will be Goldman Sachs. It's here on Seeking Alpha, but Micron alone accounts for 51% of all S&P 500 EPS revisions since the war began. And right here in the second bullet point that I've got highlighted here, Micron's consensus earnings per share growth estimate for 2026 stands at a staggering 605%. And that wasn't the only one, because Zacks also confirmed it. In this article they had around, you can see it is on Zacks, Micron versus Marvell. Which AI semiconductor stock is a better buy? The second bullet point, they also reiterate the 600% year-over-year growth with earnings per share. So their fiscal revenues, they say, are going to grow by 195%. And earnings per share are projected to surge 604% year-over-year. So those were massive signs. And if just out of curiosity, if you haven't read the article, they did say Micron was a better buy than Marvell right now at the moment. But that was their consensus takeaway. But it was the 604 and 605% surge in earnings per share that they're calling out. In addition to the two other stories, those were the three pillars for me that drove the performance today, and why it just kept flying, and why we saw the level of support and conviction that we did. Let's take a look at the technical analysis of the day through the candle pattern chart, because I think there you'll be able to see the support that I'm talking about overall. So let me pull that up, and you can clearly see when you get right here in the 5-minute candle pattern, the support that we had. Guys, out of the gate, we had a massive gap up. You can see where we closed yesterday and where we opened. So we opened today at 462.85. That is like almost a $20 jump, I think, from where we closed yesterday. Well, maybe a little less than that, but it was a huge gap up. Had a little bit of profit taking. You can see that kind of pull back here, but then look at the volume bars underneath, the massive support. Look at those candles just drive up. And this candle right here is where we broke through the 470. We hit a high of 474 here, and we continued to push. Got a high of 477. It didn't pull back. We didn't see the bears push it down like we have seen it in the past. We had this little bit of bull flag consolidation here that I'm highlighting, but after that, we had massive support, massive accumulation throughout the day overall. The only piece I would say, if you look at the RSI, it did touch over 70 here at one point. We saw a little pullback, but then we got massive support overall. And actually, as the stock grew, we started to see it stabilize and RSI come down overall. But I'm not concerned with the RSI, because as I've said in the past, when we're in a memory super cycle like we are right now, and we're seeing a breakout like we did today, I'm not concerned about that movement. That's healthy momentum for the day. But there's one last thing I want to share with you before we jump to that, and it is here in the block trades. I want to call out this one right here. You can see on the screen, it is the closing cross. You could see right at the close, we saw a block trade of about over 800 million, 1.6 million shares that crossed over at the 487.48 level. So that is a massive, massive trade over. This to me is classic dark pool rebalancing. So when you see nearly $1 billion moving a second at the close, it tells you that there's probably a big ETF and some probably other giant institutions that were forced to buy at that price so they could rebalance, they could keep up with the weight of the stock in their index overall. But the after hours action is showing us it's holding right now at 488.74. In fact, let's jump back over to see where that after hour support is right now. So that after hour support is still holding about 485, we'll call it. It actually got a little better since I started the video. This kind of is a strong sign for me. We're not seeing like a massive sell the news dip in the after hours. It's down a little bit, but it's not ripping down. Instead, we're seeing it hold. So this gives me a feeling that maybe the whales aren't done yet here. Maybe we have strong support that we have to just factor in and keep our eye on overnight and in the pre-market tomorrow morning. It's something I'm definitely going to keep an eye on. If there's any major moves, I'll drop a post on the channel. But I think we have to also just be real and kind of with ourselves and be realistic. When you see a stock that has an 8.5% move, and it's a mega cap stock like Micron, in a healthy market after a huge vertical move like this, you would expect a kind of bit of a gap down the next day, because the institutional whales who bought at 380 are sitting on massive paper gains, and some will want to ring the register before we run into the weekend. So it's something else we need to keep our eye on. And I think when you look at that RSI, if you remember when we went back to it, we had moments where we were over the 70 level. And there was that little pullback when we got about 72 over there all. So I think we just have to see if it continues to cross that 70 line. If it enters into that, we could see a bit of an exhaustion zone with Micron. We could see a dip back down towards that 470 level, 472, 74 level, which was the old resistance, which pushed this down consistently. That may be the new floor for this stock overall right now. But it wouldn't be a crash, in my opinion, if we see a pullback. It would just be a healthy back test. And sometimes it's really healthy to see a stock pull back like that, gear up before it loads up for its next run. I think also we have to realize there could be a bit of a pinning effect tomorrow. When you have this massive over an $800 million trade at the close, the big banks, they may try to keep the stock price stuck right where it is tomorrow. This will frustrate people, frustrate retail investors who bought in late at the highest price. If you just came in, you saw that move and you bought Micron at the highest price and it gets pinned tomorrow, it's going to be frustrating. It may scare you or worry you to sell your shares early so the big banks can grab them at a better deal before we move for the next run. My advice overall is just to stay patient. Try to block out the noise tomorrow. Keep your eye on the signals. And if we have a little bit of sideways movement tomorrow, don't let that scare you out of your positions with Micron. I think there's a few scenarios that I want to talk about tomorrow that we very well could see at the opening bell. One is, I think, is a healthy consolidation. I think we very well could see an initial dip back to the 480 level, the 478, 480 level. So not a huge consolidation, just a little consolidation at the opening. We have to see if that's the case, if buyers step in and they move it back up. Do we find support again? If we do, if it pull back and we see buyers immediately come in, the next level, the next 500 psychological level, or the 500 price, that psychological level is the next magnet for the stock. So keep your eye on that. That's the first scenario, a little healthy consolidation. What that would look like is we'd see a flat day or maybe just a small reduction on the day, maybe a 1% candle, negative 1% red candle for the day overall. That would actually be a pretty bullish sign for me. I think the moving averages get to catch up to the price in that case. The second scenario that I would see is more of an aggressive profit taking. And honestly, with an 8.5% move today, we could see profit taking tomorrow. We've had a lot of people that have been having vent up frustration with Micron when it's been hanging around this 450. They may get concerned that the stock has moved up so fast. It may not continue to move. Let's get some profit on the table now. So that we could see. If we see it pull back down to the 470 level in the morning, then I think that's a clear sign that we're having more of an aggressive profit taking tomorrow with the stock, and that the momentum for the stock is probably temporarily stalled overall. We do have some macro triggers tomorrow too, so we have to keep our mind right at the opening. We have the PMI data as well as the jobless claims data that comes out tomorrow right at 8:30 a.m. before the market actually opens. So if that data comes in too hot, the entire tech sector might see a broad sell-off as yields rise. And Micron, of course, as being the mega cap stock that it is, will be one of the first place traders look to harvest gains if we start to see a pullback. But to me, I think that the big takeaway today was pretty simple. The market finally stopped treating Micron like a side character, like a commodity stock, like a cyclical player overall, and it started treating it like the true leader it is in the AI trade, like how important it is to the AI infrastructure build out overall. We are seeing a massive structural shift where the sold out, where sold out is the new normal. Don't let a little morning chop tomorrow, if we see it, or some big players trying to pin the price tomorrow rattle you with Micron. That is just noise in the market. Keep your eyes on the signals. We clearly saw the signals today where the whales are diving in. The AI stack, needs this gear to function. It needs memory to properly function. That's why we see it in such high demand. So stay patient. Keep your eyes on those levels that we talked about earlier around the healthy consolidation and the aggressive profit taking. And I'll catch you guys in the morning. Like I said, I'll drop a post on my community area if I see any massive movements or any signals that I want to share with each and every one of you. But let's enjoy this day together. It was a massive move, a historic breakout rally for Micron today. Let's keep it moving forward, and let's see if we can start moving and getting closer and closer to that 500 level that we haven't seen yet with this stock. Have a great night, guys.